These other life forms were beings known as the Troglodytes, or Maldekians, which crashed down on Tiamat. One of the four Maldekian crafts, called the West Wind, crashed into the center of the planet Earth. 102. These beings lived in the seas of Tiamat Earth for millions of years. Their home base is under the Bermuda Triangle. 103. They set up kingdoms called yams under the waters. 104. The Maldekians developed into intelligent humanoids by abducting and mixing their seed with humans. 105. This is where the reptilian-like dinosaurs came from. While on one hand there was another set of extraterrestrial beings like the Greys, from which some of the dinosaurs evolved from. 106. These Greys came from the star constellation Orion, the star constellations of Arcturus and Pleiades. Meanwhile, the reptilians ruled them from Rigel and Betelgeuse, Bellatrax, Mintaka, Alnilam, and Alnitak in the Orion star constellation, and Auriga in the Capella star formation. 107. They were all in fear of the aggressive insect-type extraterrestrial from Andromeda, many of which came down to this planet Earth. 108. One of the common species of dinosaurs that evolved from the Rumardian seed of Greys was the Hypsilophodon, who came out of the Jurassic period. 109. They were called Hypsilophodon because of their high-ridged teeth. The Hypsilophodon were herbivores. They only ate off plants and fruits, extracting the needed chlorine. 110. The most common dinosaur that evolved from the reptilians were the Tyrannosaurus rex, meaning tyrant reptile or terrible lizard. 111. It is 50 feet long and 20 feet in height and weighed 7 tons. It was the largest carnivore that ever walked the planet Tiamat Earth. 112. This creature is known to be the king of the meat eaters. 113. The Tyrannosaurus rex came out of the reptilians, making them part dinosaur and part reptilian. 114. Alongside the dinosaurs, you had the evolutionary Humims. 115. Amongst the different species of evolutionary Humim, you have the Australopithecines. 116. There were 2 forms of Australopithecines that could walk and were erect. 117. Their brain was 1/3 the size of a modern human's brain. 118. The smaller ones stood about 4 feet tall and weighed between 50 to 120 pounds. 119. This was your original Pygmy, Kishite, and Havilahite tribe, which your mother Hawa, Eve, came from. They had 9 ether hair. 120. The larger ones were 7 feet and weighed 22 to 250 pounds. This was your original Watusi, Cuthite tribe, which Cadmon Adam came from. They had 8 ether hair. They were the giants in the earth. 121. All other humans had 6 ether hair as other animals of this planet Earth. 9 ether hair is a symbol of an extraterrestrial being. All animals and humans on this planet have 6 ether hair. 122. Cadmon Zakar, also known as Adam, was also a mixture of Hindu, the original black man mixed with a Shaggy, which is another set of beings that were coming to Earth from the Sirius star constellation. 123. These Shaggies were not your hairy, Bigfoot creatures. They came from the planet Eduma in the constellation of Sirius. 124. Along with these Shaggies, the Greys also came from the same star constellation, from Zeta Reticuli, called Sirius B for biological entity. 125. The Rumardians, called Greys, came from the planet Pleiades in Arcturus. 126. When Nibiru passed by Sirius B, its presence drained the energy from the sun and caused this great star, Sirius B, to collapse. Sirius A had 2 planets. 127. The Narians, an independent species of Greys, were on one planet, and the Nommos reptilians were on the other. Both planets rotated around Sirius A. 128. So when their sun died, the Narians followed Nibiru through the Milky Way. While in pursuit, these beings, the reptilians, chased the Greys, the Rumardians, who also lived on Sirius, because they wanted to rule over them and use them as slaves. 129. Some of the Rumardians came down to the planet Earth from Zeta Reticuli. 130. Both beings, the Nommos and the Rumardians, took residence on the planet Tiamat Earth. When the reptilians came, they tried to appeal to the Maldekians, Troglodytes, that were living in the seas from the crash down that happened years ago because they were of their seed. However, these Maldekians, who lived beneath the seas of the planet Earth, had a very violent nature. 132. The reptilians had to take residence in caverns beneath the surface of the Earth or in deep swamp areas in the planet Earth. They set out to conquer the Rumardians and take rule over them because of their passive nature. Some of the Rumardians came down to the planet Earth from Zeta Reticuli, 133. They went directly to the original Pygmy tribe of Bushmen in South Africa, who were the Kishites, Cushites, and the Havelahites. 134. They lived amongst these beings, and the Rumardians taught this tribe of the Anunnagi, and of the beings from the star Sirius. 135. The Cushites and the Havelahites became a mixture of these supernatural beings or extraterrestrial beings. 136. These supernatural beings are the Rumardians, greys that existed in the Nile River of the barren and rocky land of Nuba. 137. They were associated with peace and harmony only. 138. The Pygmies called these supernatural beings Bahur Malurver angels. 139. They lived in underwater castles. 140. They were associated with 4 categories of human preoccupations: fertility, cultivation, marriage, and health. 141. Then on the arrival of the Reptilians, who in pursuit of the Rumardians also crashed down amongst the Dogon tribes, 142, and began to teach them by shadow hours and would retreat to the sea by day. They told them they were the Nommos who had come to guide them if they would tell them the location of the secret caves that the agreeable Rumardians dwelled in. 144. These Bushmen, the Kishites, Cushites, were of the family of Nekaibal, including the Dogon tribe. Today they live in the deserts of the Kalahari in what is called Africa today. 145. The Nommos reptilians were called Dogri or Dogir by the Nubians. They were also referred to as the ugly water beings. 146. The reptilians can be seen in daylight. However, they would roam mostly in the deep dark swamps in the marshlands. 147. They took on different forms to appeal to the humans. 148. They had a very violent nature, which horrified most of these people. They always came out at the shadow hour and hung around date trees. 50. The Dogri enjoyed eating the dates of the trees. 151. They also came onto land during the shadow hours to teach and mix with the Dogons. 152. They would kidnap the virgins and rape them to implant their seed. 153. It became a ritual to offer virgins in order to prevent the bloodshed. 154. A negotiator was elected called a Hogun. Every 60 years they would seek these virgins. This, in turn, led to female child sacrificial rituals. 56. To these serpent people, becoming willing blood sacrifices to what became known as Ha-Satan, the head of the reptilian tribes, also called Shaitan, became a common practice and like an honor and a way to appease these malevolent beings. 157. The Dogons of Mali in West Africa speak and teach what they have been taught by these 2 tribes of extraterrestrials to this very day. 158. The Reptilians told the people of Nubia that they were lawgivers, and the people called Nommos, which is summon, narsamum, poison in Syriac Arabic, as found in the Garun Quran. 159. They taught them about calculations and about the Sigi, a 60-year period. 160. They also lived in underwater cities linked to caverns deep in the earth. 161. You have 8 caverns occupied by extraterrestrials. This does not include a Ga'artha. 62. The ruling species of the underworld are many. Duwanis, called gnomes, which stand 3 feet tall and have porcupine-like quills protruding from their bodies. 163. They live near lava and other volcanic environments. They live off insects and worms. 164. They are extremely intelligent, taking pride in mastering all of the science and literature of the surface people. 165. I once met a Duwani who could recite all of William Shakespeare. 166. He knew the best of wines from the 17th century up. 167. He could discuss everything from the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, Torah on to Sigmund Freud, and the architecture of Frank Lloyd Wright. 168. They are extremely friendly and are of no threat to human beings. 169. Yet they have no interest in coexisting with human beings on the surface who they see as killers without purpose. Next there's the Samiyu, Darrow, called Ganesha by the Hindus, who are born by hatching from eggs that are 4 to 6 feet in diameter. 171. They grow to 7 feet and are extremely obese, having 2 stomachs, and they cheweth the cud. 1. The Samiyu. Darrow has no apparent fingernails or toenails, nipples or navel, or rectum. 173. They regurgitate their food. Their eyes are light blue. 74. They have blonde eyebrows and pinkish gray colored skin, much like the corpse of a Caucasian. Their home was in caverns beneath Turkey. 175. Having not been exposed to the inner or outer sun. They have no teeth, but their mouth appears to be full of a gummy, slimy substance. They are nocturnal and hear extremely well. They're not very peaceful and have a great dislike for humans. They are very human in appearance, yet far from it. They have a long trunk-like nose, much like an elephant. 178. They contend that the planet Earth is theirs originally, and it will be theirs again one day. 179. The Samyudero are constantly in conflict with the Duwani, who hold the same faith that they were both the original owners of the planet Earth. 180. While on the surface, on the other side of the Red Sea, eastward of Eden and Chaldea, the demon beings Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma were coming back and forth to Earth from their star constellation Procyon, the planet Nirvana, for thousands of Earth years. 181. They are savage animals and are also called Chaldea, meaning demons. They became known as the original Asiatics. 182. While all of this was going on, there were different kinds of evolutionary Humims, human and behemoth, that were living on this planet Earth in that same era also. 183. You had the genus Homo, the Australopithecus. 184. The Australopithecus was a creature who lived many millions of years ago. 185. They differed chiefly in size. There were two types of Australopithecus. The first form was those who stood 4 feet and could walk erect. 186. The second form was the Java man, who was called Pithecanthropus, meaning monkey man or ape man. 187. The other species was Paranthropus. 188. Then you had other types, like the Neanderthal, who lived for 100,000 years and then disappeared. 189. Then there is the Cro-Magnon, who was said to have roamed Europe 400,000 years ago, including Homo erectus and many other species in between. 190. The Peking man also belonged to this species, who was here 500,000 years ago, long thought to be along the migration of modern man. 191. The Peking man was a type of prehistoric man who lived about 370,000 years ago in what is now northern China. 192 members of the species Homo erectus, erect man, stood about 5 feet tall or 150 centimeters tall. 193. They had a brain about twice the size of an Australopithecines. 194. Most of these species of evolutionary man came from the ape family. 195. Among the different species of ape man, you have the black-haired, or 196. This is where you get the word lord or master from. 197. The Lares, plural for lar, were recognized for their intelligence. 198. These Lares were the head monkeys or spiritual monkeys, well known. This is where the word monks comes from. 199. When the Anunnagi chose to breed by gene splicing through Geshtu, one of the Anunnagi, and Ninti, to breed the first mommy here,